Close your eyes and feel the ground beneath you, ancient, solid, eternal, or so we've been taught to believe. But what if I told you that this ground holds secrets, whispers of worlds that rose and fell before ours, civilizations so advanced they would shatter everything you think you know about human history? What if the ruins we walk past every day, the myths we dismiss as fantasy, the artifacts locked away in museum basements, all point to a truth too dangerous to acknowledge? That we are not the first. We are not even the second or third. We are the seventh civilization to rise on this earth, and someone has spent centuries ensuring you never learn what happened to the six that came before. If you feel the weight of this revelation settling over you like a blanket of ancient dust, stay with us. Subscribe and follow us deeper into the evidence they tried to erase, the patterns they hoped we'd never see, the truth buried beneath layers of time, silence, and deliberate forgetting. Because tonight, as the world softens into sleep around you, we uncover the story written in stone, in bone, in the very DNA you carry, a story of 6 lost worlds, and the 7th world now awakening to remember what it was never meant to know. The story begins not with a discovery, but with a question that archaeologists whisper only to each other in dark corners of conferences late at night when the official presentations have ended. Why does every ancient culture describe a world before theirs? Not metaphorically, not symbolically, but literally, clearly, insistently. The Egyptians spoke of Zeb-Tepi the first time, an age of gods who walked the earth before the pharaohs, before the kingdoms, before recorded history began. The Hindus described the yugas, vast cycles of time spanning hundreds of thousands of years, each ending in cataclysm, each followed by a new beginning. The Maya calculated dates reaching back tens of thousands of years before their own civilization supposedly began. The Sumerians, the oldest written records we possess, speak not of their own origins, but those who came before, the Anunnaki, beings who brought knowledge from a time so ancient even the Sumerians considered it prehistory. Every culture, every continent, every isolated people who never contacted each other, all telling the same story. Before us, there were others, and they fell, catastrophically, completely, leaving behind only fragments, only whispers, only the faintest traces for those who would come after. For centuries, scholars dismiss these accounts as mythology, as humanity's attempt to create meaning through storytelling. But what if they were not creating stories? What if they were preserving memories? Memories of worlds that actually existed, civilizations that actually rose, technologies that actually functioned, and catastrophes that actually erased them so completely that only their myths survived. The first crack in the official narrative appeared not in a temple or a tomb, but in the ocean. Deep beneath the waves, off the coast of India near the Gulf of Cambay, sonar scans revealed something impossible. Geometric structures, perfect right angles, streets, buildings, plazas, an entire city grid laid out with precision that matched modern urban planning, resting beneath hundreds of feet of water in sediment dating back over 9,000 years. 9,000 years! Thousands of years before the Egyptians, before Sumer, before any civilization was supposed to exist. The discovery sent shockwaves through the archaeological community, not because of what it revealed, but because of what it implied. If a city this sophisticated existed 9 millennia ago, then everything, absolutely everything we've been taught about the timeline of human history is wrong.
And that was only the beginning. Soon, other underwater sites began appearing. Off the coast of Japan, the Yonaguni Monument, massive stone structures with steps, terraces, and right angles too precise to be natural formations. Near Cuba, sonar detected stone structures at depths that would require them to be over 50,000 years old. In the Mediterranean, roads and harbors that shouldn't exist. Near Okinawa, pyramids resting on the ocean floor. One by one, the discoveries accumulated, each one impossible, each one dismissed or ignored by mainstream archaeology. Not because the evidence was weak, but because accepting it would mean rewriting every textbook, revising every timeline, admitting that the story we've told ourselves about human history is not incomplete, it is fundamentally, catastrophically wrong. As you breathe slowly now, letting your body sink deeper into rest, imagine those cities, not as ruins, but as they were, alive, thriving, filled with people who walked streets, raised children, looked up at the same stars you see, never knowing that soon, within a generation or two, the seas would rise, the earth would shift, and everything they built would be swallowed whole, preserved only by the very waters that destroyed them. They were not primitive, they were not simple, they were us, living in a world we can barely reconstruct, a world that came before the world we know, the first civilization, or perhaps the sixth, before the waters rose and reset everything. When archaeologists began taking the underwater discoveries seriously, when they dared to ask what the official narrative forbade them from asking, they noticed something else, something that turned mystery into pattern. The ruins beneath the ocean were not alone. Around the world, structures above ground displayed technology that shouldn't exist. In Egypt, the precision of the Great Pyramid mocks our assumptions about Bronze Age capability. The blocks weigh up to 70 tons, cut and placed with tolerances measured in fractions of millimeters. No copper tools, no bronze chisels, nothing in the official toolkit could have shaped granite and limestone with that precision. Modern engineers admit they couldn't replicate it even with laser-guided equipment. The pyramid encodes the dimensions of Earth, the speed of light, the length of the solar year, all hidden within its measurements, suggesting the builders understood physics, astronomy, and mathematics at a level we only achieved in the last few centuries. In Peru, Sacsayhuaman, massive stones weighing over 200 tons, fitted together like three-dimensional puzzles with curves, angles, and interlocking joints so complex that not even a sheet of paper can slide between them. These are not stacked blocks, these are engineered assemblies, requiring knowledge of structural dynamics, seismic resistance, and stoneworking techniques we still don't understand. The Inca, when asked by Spanish conquistadors who built these structures, said plainly, "We did not build them. They were here when we arrived, built by those who came before." Even the Inca, masters of stonework themselves, considered these constructions beyond their capability, remnants of an earlier age, an earlier people, an earlier civilization. In Turkey, Göbekli Tepe stands as perhaps the most disturbing anomaly of all. Built over 11,000 years ago, it predates agriculture, predates pottery, predates everything the textbooks say is necessary for monumental architecture. According to the official story, humans at that time were hunter-gatherers, small bands wandering the landscapes, struggling to survive. They had no cities, no writing, no social organization capable of mobilizing the labor required to quarry, transport, carve, and erect massive stone pillars decorated with intricate artwork. And yet, Göbekli Tepe exists, undeniable, impossible, standing at the edge of the last ice age like a marker, a message, a memory carved in stone by people who knew something was ending, something was beginning, and that future generations needed to remember.
The pattern repeats across the planet. Puma Punku in Bolivia, the Temple of Jupiter at Baalbek in Lebanon, with foundation stones weighing over 800 tons, the precision-drilled granite in Egypt's Serapeum, the acoustic chambers carved into bedrock throughout Peru and Mexico, the underwater structures off Okinawa, the megalithic sites dotting the Mediterranean, the submerged cities off the Indian coast. Everywhere, the same impossible precision.
Everywhere, the same unexplained technology. Everywhere, the same haunting question whispered by local people to archaeologists. We did not build these. They were here before us, built by those who came before the flood. And as you lie here now, drifting between waking and sleep, imagine those builders, not as primitives, not as ancients struggling with stone and rope, but as engineers, as architects, as people who understood principles we're only now rediscovering. They had knowledge, they had capability, they had time. And then something happened, something so devastating that their entire civilization vanished, leaving behind only their greatest works, the structures too massive to destroy, too perfectly built to erode quickly, standing silent across the millennia, waiting for a future civilization, waiting for us to ask the right questions, to see the patterns, to realize that we are not the beginning, we are not the first, we are the seventh, and everything that came before us is evidence of a cycle we are only beginning to understand. The discoveries on land and beneath the waves would be remarkable enough, but they tell only part of the story. The deeper archaeologists looked, the stranger the picture became, because the civilizations that built these impossible structures didn't just know engineering, they knew astronomy with a precision that still baffles modern scientists. At Angkor Wat in Cambodia, the temple complex is arranged to mirror the constellation Draco, not as it appears today, but as it appeared in 10,500 BCE, over 12,000 years ago. The pyramids of Giza align perfectly with Orion's belt, again, not in their current configuration, but as they appeared in 10,500 BCE, the same date, the same astronomical era. Halfway around the world, cultures that supposedly never contacted each other, building monuments that point to the same moment in deep time, as if marking something significant, something both civilizations remembered, even if the details were lost. Stonehenge, despite appearing crude compared to the precision of Egypt and Peru, demonstrates sophisticated astronomical knowledge. The stones track solstices, equinoxes, lunar cycles, and eclipse patterns with accuracy that would require centuries of careful observation. But more than that, recent analysis suggests the site was precisely positioned to account for Earth's axial precession, the slow wobble of the planet that takes 26,000 years to complete one cycle. To know about precession, to measure it, to encode it into architecture, requires multi-generational observation spanning thousands of years. This is not knowledge acquired by a single culture in a single era. This is inherited knowledge, passed down from a civilization that existed long enough to observe these vast cycles, to understand them, to consider them important enough to preserve in stone. The Nazca lines in Peru add another layer to the mystery. Massive geoglyphs etched into the desert floor, visible only from the air, depicting animals, geometric patterns, and perfectly straight lines that stretch for miles across uneven terrain. Creating these designs would require aerial perspective, yet the Nazca people supposedly had no flight capability, no way to see what they were creating. Unless they did, unless they inherited the designs from a previous culture that could see from above, that mapped the Earth from heights we assume were impossible until our own modern era. The lines themselves align with astronomical events, celestial patterns, as if the ground was a canvas and the sky was the blueprint. In South America, the Tiwanaku civilization built structures aligned to celestial mechanics with such precision that modern archaeoastronomers struggle to understand how such accuracy was achieved without telescopes, without computers, without the mathematical models we consider essential for astronomical calculation. The Gateway of the Sun at Tiwanaku contains carved symbols that some researchers believe represent a complete calendar system, tracking not just the solar year, but Venus cycles, lunar months, and stellar precession, all encoded into a single stone monument. The Maya, of course, are famous for their astronomical and mathematical prowess. Their long count calendar tracks cycles spanning 5,125 years, and they calculated the length of the solar year to greater precision than the Gregorian calendar we use today. They tracked Venus with accuracy not matched by European astronomers until the 20th century. They understood the concept of zero, a mathematical abstraction that most civilizations never developed. And they described cycles of creation and destruction spanning hundreds of thousands of years with specific dates, specific events, specific astronomical alignments marking each transition. These were not myths, these were records, passed down through generations, preserved through the collapse of whatever came before them. As you breathe in the darkness now, imagine looking up at the night sky as those ancient astronomers did. They saw the same stars, the same planets, the same slow dance of celestial bodies. But they saw something else too. They saw a pattern, a cycle, a rhythm that repeated across vast spans of time. They watched the heavens not out of idle curiosity, but with desperate focus, because they knew from inherited memory, from preserved records, from the ruins of earlier civilizations, that the sky holds warnings. The astronomical alignments they encoded into their monuments were not decorations, they were clocks, timers, countdown markers pointing toward moments when the cycle completes, when the earth shifts, when the seas rise, when fire falls from the sky, when everything changes and civilization resets once again. They were trying to tell us something, and we are only now learning to listen. But astronomical knowledge, engineering precision, underwater ruins, these could potentially be explained, however awkwardly, within the existing framework of human history. What cannot be explained, which shatters the timeline completely, are the artifacts that keep appearing in places they should not exist, artifacts that predate humanity itself. In 1912, employees at a power plant in Oklahoma broke open a chunk of coal mined from a seam formed 300 million years ago. Inside, perfectly preserved, was an iron pot, metallurgically analyzed, deliberately manufactured, impossible. In Romania, workers excavating a trench found an aluminum wedge embedded in rock dated to 200,000 years ago. Aluminum requires sophisticated refining processes, not developed until the 19th century, yet there it was, corroded, ancient, resting where no human artifact should exist. In Russia, small metallic springs and coils were discovered in rock strata between 20,000 and 318,000 years old. Microscopic analysis revealed them to be manufactured from tungsten and molybdenum, metals chosen for their properties in high-stress applications, manufactured with precision that suggests technological understanding. In California, miners found gold artifacts, human bones, and stone tools in rock layers 50 million years old, mixing humans or near humans into time periods when such beings supposedly did not exist.
The Dropa stones of China. Hundreds of stone discs with spiral grooves carved into them, dating back 12,000 years. Discovered in caves along with small humanoid skeletons and cave paintings depicting beings with enlarged heads and the stars above them. The London hammer, found in Texas, encased in rock 400 million years old, its metal handle partially fossilized, its iron head containing a composition that shouldn't exist in ancient metallurgy. The Koso artifact, an object resembling a modern spark plug found inside a geode that formed thousands of years ago. The Salzburg cube, a near-perfect metallic cube found in coal dated to the Tertiary period, millions of years before humans existed. Each discovery was documented, photographed, analyzed, and each discovery quietly disappeared. Not at once, not dramatically, but gradually, systematically, the artifacts vanished from public view, transferred to private collections, lost in museum archives, destroyed in unexplained fires. Reports were pulled from journals, photographs were declared hoaxes without investigation. Scientists who studied them found their careers derailed, their funding cut, their credibility attacked. The pattern was unmistakable. These artifacts, these impossible objects that shattered the timeline, were being erased not by accident, but by design. And the question that haunts researchers who dare to speak of these things is simple and terrifying. If artifacts from impossible time periods are being systematically suppressed, what else has been found and hidden? How many objects rest in classified warehouses, in private collections, in sealed rooms beneath museums, waiting for a day when humanity is ready to know that the story we've been told, the story of gradual progress from primitive ancestors to modern civilization, is not just incomplete, it is a carefully constructed fiction designed to keep us from asking the most dangerous question of all. If we are not the first civilization, if 6 others came before us, what happened to them? And is it about to happen to us? Rest now, letting these impossible artifacts drift through your mind like fragments of a shattered timeline. Each one is a crack in the official story, a piece of evidence that doesn't fit, a whisper from a past that was never supposed to be remembered. And together, they form a picture too clear to ignore. We are not alone in history. We are not the first to rise. We are walking in the footprints of giants, building on foundations we don't understand, repeating a pattern we've forgotten. The 7th civilization, and the evidence of the first 6, is all around us, hidden in plain sight, waiting for eyes clear enough to see, minds brave enough to question, and hearts strong enough to accept that everything, absolutely everything we thought we knew about where we came from, is about to change. If impossible artifacts point toward lost civilizations, then perhaps our own biology points there as well. Because hidden within the human genome, written in the very code that makes us what we are, lies evidence of something strange, something that doesn't quite fit the neat story of gradual evolution from apes to humans over millions of years. Geneticists studying human DNA have discovered anomalies, sequences that appear suddenly in the fossil record without clear precursors, genes that show signs of what some researchers call unnatural selection, as if something intervened, something guided, something deliberately modified the genetic code to produce modern humans. The most famous example is the FOXP2 gene, crucial for speech and language ability. In humans, this gene differs significantly from the version found in chimpanzees, our closest living relatives. But the change didn't occur gradually over millions of years. It happened suddenly, approximately 200,000 years ago, coinciding almost exactly with the emergence of anatomically modern humans. The mutation appears clean, precise, as if edited rather than randomly evolved. And it's not just FOXP2. Multiple genes related to brain development, neurocomplexity, and cognitive ability show similar patterns, appearing or changing dramatically within a narrow window of time, transforming archaic hominids into modern humans with a swiftness that puzzles evolutionary biologists. Then there's the mystery of chromosome 2. All great apes have 24 pairs of chromosomes, 48 total. Humans have 23 pairs, 46 total. At some point in our past, 2 chromosomes fused into 1. This fusion is visible in our DNA. The telomeres that normally cap chromosome ends appear in the middle of human chromosome 2, marking where 2 separate chromosomes joined. Normally, such fusions cause catastrophic genetic problems, infertility, developmental disorders, death. Yet in humans, not only did this fusion survive, it became the defining feature of our species. The mathematical probability of such a fusion occurring naturally and not only surviving but thriving is astronomically small, unless it wasn't natural, unless it was engineered. Recent studies have found something even more intriguing.
scattered throughout less than 0.5% of the global population, is a genetic cluster that doesn't align with known ancestral lineages. It appears in isolated pockets, mountaintop communities in India, remote tribes in Southeast Asia, the Basque people of Europe, Aboriginal Australians, groups separated by oceans and continents who share no cultural connection, no common history, yet carry the same genetic signature. A signature so old it predates human migration out of Africa. A signature that suggests a common source population that existed before humanity spread across the globe. This genetic cluster contains genes that provide enhanced survival capabilities, resistance to hypoxia, allowing function in low oxygen environments, rapid muscle recovery under extreme stress, stable circadian rhythms during prolonged darkness, enhanced spatial awareness, and environmental sensitivity. These are not random abilities, they are specific adaptations, survival tools for enduring exactly the kinds of catastrophes that would end civilizations: floods, volcanic winters, prolonged darkness, rapid climate shifts. It's as if a previous civilization, knowing collapse was coming, encoded survival instructions directly into the genetics of a chosen population, ensuring that when the world reset, when the catastrophe passed, there would be survivors carrying forward not just knowledge in their minds, but capabilities in their very bodies. And this genetic memory does more than enhance physical survival. Recent research into epigenetics shows that trauma, adaptation, and experience can be inherited, passed down through generations, encoded in chemical markers that determine which genes activate and which remain dormant. If trauma can be inherited, then memory can be inherited as well. Not conscious memory, not explicit knowledge, but intuitive knowing, instinctive recognition, the sense that some individuals report when they encounter ancient sites, certain symbols, certain star patterns, a feeling of familiarity, of déjà vu, as if their DNA itself remembers something their conscious mind has forgotten. Carriers of this ancient genetic cluster demonstrate unusual pattern recognition when shown images of submerged ruins, megalithic structures, prehistoric astronomical charts. Their brains light up in memory centers, not novelty centers, as if recognizing rather than discovering. They navigate unfamiliar terrain with uncanny accuracy, guided by senses they cannot explain. Some describe dreams of cities beneath the sea, of skies filled with unfamiliar stars, of catastrophes that feel like memories rather than imagination. These are not fantasies, these are genetic echoes, inherited traces of ancestors who lived through collapses, who survived when civilizations fell, who carried forward the memory of what was lost, encoded not in stone or text, but in blood, in bone, in the spiral ladder of DNA that connects every human to every other human, and perhaps, impossibly, to the 6 civilizations that came before. So breathe deeply now, feeling your body not just as flesh and blood, but as a library, a living repository of information stretching back thousands, perhaps millions of years. You are not just an individual, you are a continuation, a carrier of memory so deep it has become biology itself. And somewhere in the coils of your DNA, perhaps there lies a memory of the world before this one, waiting for the right moment, the right trigger, the right environmental condition to awaken and remind you of what you have always known but learned to forget. We are the 7th civilization, and the evidence isn't just buried in the ground, it's written inside every cell of your body, waiting to be read. If our DNA carries memory, then perhaps the Earth itself carries memory as well. Geologists studying ice cores from Antarctica and Greenland have found something that makes them speak in hushed tones at conferences. Within the layered ice, each layer representing a single year's snowfall, there are markers, sudden shifts in atmospheric composition, spikes in cosmic dust, layers of ash from volcanic eruptions, and isotopic anomalies that appear at regular intervals stretching back hundreds of thousands of years. These are not random events. They form a pattern, a rhythm, a cycle that repeats with disturbing consistency every 12 to 13,000 years, like a cosmic metronome marking the passage of ages, measuring the distance between catastrophes. The most recent spike appears approximately 12,800 years ago, coinciding exactly with the end of the last ice age. Within those ice layers, scientists found evidence of massive wildfires burning across multiple continents simultaneously. Microscopic diamonds, formed only under conditions of extreme heat and pressure, the kind generated by asteroid impacts or air bursts. Platinum anomalies, suggesting extraterrestrial material raining down across the planet. And then, abruptly, the climate shifted. Within less than a human lifetime, perhaps within a single generation, temperatures plunged. Glaciers that had been retreating suddenly surged. Then, just as quickly, massive warming. Sea levels rose by over 400 feet. Coastlines that had supported human populations for thousands of years vanished beneath the waves. Entire continental shelves drowned. And any civilizations living in those fertile coastal zones, where most ancient peoples naturally settled, were erased completely, preserved only in the sediment layers and the myths of those who survived in the highlands. But this was not the first time. Drilling deeper into the ice, geologists found the same markers repeating 25,000 years ago, 38,000 years ago, 50,000 years ago. Each time, the same pattern of catastrophe: sudden climate shifts, atmospheric disturbances, mass extinctions, followed by recovery. The cycle doesn't just affect climate, it affects the entire planet. Studies of sediment cores from ocean floors reveal coordinated changes in magnetic field strength, weakening significantly before each major climate shift. The Earth's magnetic field, which shields us from cosmic radiation, fluctuates, thins, and occasionally flips completely, with the north and south poles exchanging positions. The last full reversal occurred 780,000 years ago, but the field has been weakening steadily for the past 2,000 years, accelerating in recent decades. We are overdue for another shift. When the magnetic field weakens, more cosmic radiation reaches the surface, cloud formation increases, climate becomes unstable, auroras appear at unusual latitudes, animals that navigate using magnetic sensing become disoriented, birds flying in wrong directions, whales beaching themselves, migrations failing. And humans, though we don't consciously perceive magnetic fields, are affected as well. Studies show correlations between geomagnetic disturbances and increases in psychological instability, social unrest, collective anxiety. It's as if the planet's magnetic field is a stabilizing force for consciousness itself, and when it weakens, both the physical world and the mental world become chaotic. Then there are the tectonic records. The Earth's crust floats on a semi-molten mantle, and that crust is not stable. It shifts, sometimes slowly, incrementally, the continents drifting inches per year, but sometimes rapidly, catastrophically, triggered by imbalances in ice distribution, by changes in the planet's rotation, by gravitational influences from other bodies in the solar system. Charles Hapgood proposed the theory of crustal displacement, suggesting that the entire crust could shift suddenly, moving continents thousands of miles in a matter of hours or days. Mainstream geology rejected this theory, but recent findings suggest something similar may occur during periods of rapid climate change, when massive ice sheets collapse, redistributing weight across the planet's surface, potentially triggering sudden tectonic realignments. And there's the astronomical component. Our solar system doesn't orbit the galaxy in a simple circle. It oscillates up and down, passing through the galactic plane approximately every 26 million to 30 million years. During these passages, exposure to cosmic radiation increases. Gravitational perturbations affect the Oort cloud, sending comets toward the inner solar system, and the likelihood of impacts spikes dramatically. But there's a smaller cycle as well, related to our sun's path through local interstellar clouds, regions of space with higher densities of dust and gas. Every 12,000 years or so, our solar system crosses these boundaries, affecting the sun's behavior, potentially triggering increased solar activity, coronal mass ejections, micronovas, events that could strip atmospheres, ignite wildfires worldwide, and cause the exact kind of sudden, catastrophic change recorded in the ice cores. The evidence converges from multiple disciplines: geology, astronomy, climatology, paleontology, archaeology, all pointing toward the same conclusion. The Earth undergoes periodic catastrophic resets, and these resets are not random. They follow a cycle ancient civilizations observed, measured, and tried desperately to warn future generations about. The Maya long count calendar famously ended a cycle in 2012, which many misinterpreted as predicting the end of the world. But the Maya never said the world would end. They said a cycle would end and a new one would begin. A transition, and transitions, as the geological record shows, are not peaceful. They are cataclysmic.
As you lie here now, feeling the solid ground beneath you, remember that this ground is not as stable as it seems. It has shifted before. It will shift again. The cycle continues whether we acknowledge it or not, and perhaps the reason previous civilizations fell, despite their knowledge, despite their technology, despite their preparations, is that the cycle is simply too powerful, too comprehensive, too perfectly synchronized across multiple systems, magnetic, climatic, tectonic, astronomical, to resist. The best they could do was survive, leave markers, encode warnings, in hope that the seventh civilization, our civilization, would be wise enough, connected enough, advanced enough to recognize the pattern, and perhaps, for the first time in Earth's history, prepare not just to survive, but to transcend the cycle altogether. If the planet records these cycles in ice and stone, then the cosmos records them in stone as well, carved into monuments that have stood for millennia, watching, waiting, marking time. When archaeologists finally began connecting the dots, mapping the astronomical alignments of ancient structures around the world, a breathtaking picture emerged. These monuments were not built randomly. They were not positioned by accident. They form a global network, a planetary grid of sites, all oriented to the same celestial events, all tracking the same astronomical cycles, all pointing toward the same moment in deep time. It was as if the builders of these structures were working from a single master plan, a blueprint that spanned continents and cultures, coordinating efforts across vast distances to create something that could outlast any single civilization, any single collapse, any single age. The Great Pyramid of Giza aligns to true north with a precision of 3/60ths of a single degree. That accuracy is almost impossible even with modern instruments, yet was achieved over 4,500 years ago, allegedly by people with copper tools and rope. The pyramid's dimensions encode fundamental constants: the speed of light in meters per second, the mean radius of Earth, the length of the solar year. These are not approximations. These are precise mathematical relationships hidden in the structure's measurements. The shafts inside the pyramid point to specific stars: Orion, Sirius, Draco,
not as they appeared when the pyramid was supposedly built, but as they appeared in 10,500 BCE, over 12,000 years ago, marking the beginning of the current cycle, the Age of Leo, when the Sphinx, carved from the same complex, would have gazed directly at its celestial counterpart rising on the eastern horizon at dawn on the spring equinox. Across the planet, Angkor Wat in Cambodia is arranged as a massive map of the heavens, its temples positioned to mirror constellations, its causeways aligned to track the precession of the equinoxes, that slow 26,000-year wobble of Earth's axis. The temple complex marks time not in years or decades, but in ages, vast epics spanning thousands of years, as if the builders were thinking on a scale that transcends individual human lifetimes, planning for continuity across multiple rises and falls of civilization. In South America, Tiahuanaco sits at 12,500 feet above sea level, yet contains harbor structures, water erosion, and dock facilities, suggesting it was once at sea level or near it. For the site to have been at sea level, massive geological changes would have been required. Either the land was much lower, or the seas were much higher, or both. The structures aligned to astronomical events, tracking the sun, moon, and stars with precision that required sophisticated understanding of celestial mechanics. The Gateway of the Sun contains carved symbols that researchers believe represent a complete astronomical calendar, tracking cycles within cycles, possibly encoding the very rhythm of catastrophe and renewal that governs Earth's history.
Stonehenge, despite appearing crude compared to Egyptian precision, demonstrates knowledge of the 18.6-year lunar cycle, the metomic cycle of 19 years when solar and lunar calendars realign, and even hints at understanding the 26,000-year precession cycle. The stones were transported from quarries over 150 miles away, some weighing 25 tons or more, moved by people who supposedly had no wheels, no metal tools, no engineering knowledge. Yet they positioned them with astronomical accuracy that would require generations of careful observation and mathematical calculation. The Nazca lines stretch across the Peruvian desert, perfectly straight for miles, geometrically precise, visible only from the air, depicting animals, spirals, and geometric patterns that align with astronomical events, solstices, equinoxes, and star positions. Recent analysis using satellite imaging revealed that the lines connect to underground water sources, suggesting they served multiple purposes: astronomical observation, ritual pathways, and practical resource mapping, all integrated into a single system that required aerial perspective to design and create. And then there are the lesser-known sites, the ones that don't make textbooks, but should. The stone circles of Armenia, older than Stonehenge, aligned to the same celestial cycles. The megalithic temples of Malta, intricate complexes built over 5,500 years ago, featuring acoustic chambers, astronomical windows, and construction techniques that baffle modern engineers. The pyramids of China, some taller than those in Egypt, aligned to constellations, forbidden from excavation by government decree, as if whatever lies beneath them is too dangerous to reveal. When these sites are plotted on a map, when their alignments are traced, when their astronomical orientations are compared, they form a pattern, not a random scattering of ancient constructions, but a coordinated network. Sites in Egypt connect geometrically to sites in Peru. Alignments in Cambodia mirror those in Mexico. The same angles, the same ratios, the same astronomical targets appear across cultures that supposedly never contacted each other, never shared knowledge, never coordinated their efforts. Unless they did. unless they were all part of the same global civilization, the civilization that existed before the flood, before the collapse, before the cycle reset everything and scattered the survivors across the planet, each group carrying fragments of the old knowledge, each culture rebuilding echoes of what was lost, creating monuments that would endure through the next catastrophe and serve as beacons, markers, messages to the civilization that would rise after them. Us, the seventh civilization, standing now before these monuments, finally beginning to decode their message, finally understanding that they were not built to honor gods or kings, but to track time, to mark cycles, to warn future generations that the pattern repeats, that catastrophe is not an if, but a when, and that the only way to survive is to remember, to prepare, to recognize the signs before the cycle completes its arc once more. Rest now and imagine standing before the Great Pyramid under a sky filled with stars, feeling the weight of millennia pressing down on you, understanding finally that you are not looking at a tomb or a temple, but at a clock, a calendar, a warning carved in stone by people who knew what was coming, who tried desperately to preserve their knowledge, and who built something so massive, so precise, so perfectly aligned that it could survive the very catastrophe they were warning about. They are speaking to you across 12,000 years of silence, and their message is simple, urgent, unmistakable. The cycle is turning again. The signs are returning. And this time, for the first time in 6 attempts, humanity has the technology, the communication, the global awareness to actually hear the warning before it's too late. The question is, will we listen?
If the monuments speak to those who can decode them, then perhaps the myths speak to those who can hear. Every ancient culture preserved stories, not written down at first, but passed orally through generations, memorized by priests and shamans and storytellers who understood that memory could be fragile, that writing could be destroyed, but that stories, if told correctly, if embedded with enough emotional power, enough symbolic resonance, could survive anything, even the collapse of civilization itself. And when researchers finally stopped dismissing these myths as primitive fantasy and started treating them as historical records, encoded in metaphor, disguised in symbolism, the pattern became undeniable. Every culture describes the same events, the same sequence, the same catastrophe. The flood myths are the most famous. Over 200 cultures around the world tell stories of a great deluge that destroyed the previous world, drowning cities, killing most of humanity, resetting civilization. The Epic of Gilgamesh describes Utnapishtim surviving by building a boat, warned by the gods that catastrophe was coming. The Bible tells of Noah in the ark, preserving animals and humans through the rising waters. Hindu texts describe Manu, warned by a fish that the world would flood, who built a ship and survived. Greek myths speak of Deucalion and Pyrrha, sole survivors of a flood sent by Zeus. Chinese legends tell of Gun Yu, who controlled floodwaters that threatened to drown the world. South American myths describe survivors fleeing to high mountains as the seas rose. Australian Aboriginal stories speak of a time when the waters came and swallowed the land, forcing people to retreat to highlands. The details vary, but the core narrative is identical. An advanced civilization existed. It fell. Water destroyed it. Few survived. Those who survived started over. This is not metaphor. This is memory. Memory of coastlines drowning when sea levels rose 400 feet at the end of the last ice age, submerging the very continental shelves where most ancient peoples lived, the fertile coastal zones with abundant resources, moderate climates, access to both land and sea. Those zones vanished beneath the waves approximately 12,000 years ago, and every culture descended from the survivors remembers it, encoded in myth, preserved through storytelling,
waiting for a future generation to recognize it as history, not fantasy. But the myths don't only describe water, they describe fire. The Hopi speak of the first world destroyed by fire from above. Hindu texts describe celestial weapons, vimanas flying through the sky, raining destruction that turns cities to glass. The Mahabharata contains descriptions of explosions so detailed they sound like eyewitness accounts of nuclear detonations, complete with burns, radiation sickness, and scorched earth. Greek myths tell of Phaethon who drove the sun chariot too close to Earth, scorching the planet. Australian Aboriginal stories speak of fire from the sky that burned the land. Norse mythology describes Ragnarok, where the world burns before being reborn. Mayan texts describe ages ended by fire raining from above. Again, the details vary. The core memory persists. The world burned. Sky fire, objects falling from above, temperatures rising catastrophically. This aligns perfectly with the geological evidence of the Younger Dryas impact event, approximately 12,800 years ago, when something, likely a fragmented comet, struck Earth in multiple locations, causing wildfires across continents, sudden temperature spikes, atmospheric disturbances, and the rapid climate chaos that ended the last ice age and drowned the coastal civilizations. The myths also describe darkness, the sun disappearing, skies going black, stars vanishing, cold descending. The Norse speak of Fimbulwinter, 3 years of endless winter before Ragnarok. Egyptian texts describe times when the sun did not rise. Aztec myths tell of eras when darkness covered the earth. This matches volcanic winter scenarios, where massive eruptions or impact events throw so much ash into the atmosphere that sunlight is blocked, temperatures plunge, crops fail, and civilizations collapse from famine and cold. Ice cores confirm periods of sudden temperature drops following major volcanic events, creating conditions exactly like those described in the myths.
And then there are the stranger myths, the ones that describe not just natural catastrophe, but something more. The sky changing, the stars shifting positions, the poles moving, the sun rising in different locations. Ancient Egyptian texts describe times when the sun rose in the west and set in the east. Plato wrote that Egyptian priests told him of multiple occasions when the heavens reversed their motion. South American legends speak of the sun standing still. Chinese records describe days when the sun didn't set. These accounts would be pure fantasy, except they align perfectly with what would happen during a pole shift or crustal displacement, when the Earth's surface suddenly moves, changing the apparent positions of celestial objects, making the sun appear to rise in different directions, causing the stars to shift seemingly overnight. The most haunting myths, though, are the ones about memory itself. The stories that describe deliberate knowledge preservation. The Egyptian legend of Thoth, who wrote books containing all knowledge and hid them before the catastrophe. The Hindu concept of the Vedas, eternal knowledge that survives each cycle, rediscovered by survivors. The Mesopotamian myth of the 7 sages, the Apkallu, who brought knowledge from before the flood. The Greek story of Prometheus, who stole fire from the gods and gave it to humans, not literal fire, but knowledge, enlightenment, the tools of civilization itself. These myths don't just describe catastrophe, they describe the attempt to survive it, to preserve knowledge across the gulf of collapse, to ensure that the next civilization doesn't start from absolute zero, but has seeds, fragments, breadcrumbs left by those who came before. And as you drift deeper now into rest, into the borderland between waking and sleep, where myths feel more real than history, perhaps you can hear them, those ancient voices speaking across millennia, not in words,
but in images, in feelings, in the deep recognition that comes when a story touches something true. They are telling you that this has happened before, that you are not the first to stand on the edge of collapse, that others stood where you stand now, watching the signs, feeling the shift, knowing something immense was approaching, and they left messages encoded in every story, every monument, every artifact they could preserve, messages that all say the same thing: remember, prepare, the cycle turns, and your civilization, the seventh civilization, must choose whether to repeat the pattern or, finally, impossibly, break it. If myths preserve memory and monuments mark time, then perhaps the greatest evidence of all is the evidence of suppression itself. Because the strangest part of this story, the part that transforms it from historical mystery into deliberate conspiracy, is how consistently, how systematically, how globally the evidence of previous civilizations has been hidden, dismissed, destroyed, and erased. This suppression is not accidental. It is not the natural result of time and erosion. It is coordinated, intentional, and ongoing, as if someone, some group, some institution has been working for centuries to ensure that humanity never learns the truth about the 6 civilizations that came before.
When artifacts are discovered that don't fit the timeline, they disappear. Museum curators report objects going missing from storage. Archaeologists describe excavations being shut down by government authorities minutes after significant finds. Researchers who publish papers on anomalous discoveries find their funding cut, their credentials questioned, their careers destroyed through coordinated campaigns of professional destruction. The pattern is unmistakable to anyone paying attention. Step out of line, question the official narrative, present evidence that challenges the established timeline, and you will be silenced. In Turkey, when archaeologists excavating Göbekli Tepe began finding structures far older than anything that should exist, government restrictions immediately appeared. Access was limited. Only approved researchers could visit. Excavations were slowed. Only 5% of the site has been uncovered, and officials have stated it will take 150 years to fully excavate, despite the technology existing to do it in a fraction of that time. Why? What are they afraid of finding? What lies beneath the remaining 95% that must be kept hidden? In Egypt, the official timeline of pyramid construction is treated as sacred, unchangeable, despite overwhelming evidence suggesting the structures are far older than claimed. When geologist Robert Schoch demonstrated that water erosion on the Sphinx could only have occurred during a period of heavy rainfall thousands of years before the alleged construction date, he was attacked viciously by Egyptologists, not with evidence, but with professional destruction, dismissal, mockery, career sabotage. The Egyptian government itself restricts research, refusing permission for radiocarbon dating, ground-penetrating radar, or any investigation that might challenge the official story. Entire chambers detected beneath the Sphinx and pyramids remain sealed, forbidden from exploration, as if whatever they contain is too dangerous to reveal. In South America, access to many megalithic sites is restricted. Pumapunku, with its impossible precision stonework, is largely off-limits to independent researchers. The Nazca lines are protected from aerial photography except by approved parties. Ancient sites throughout Peru are controlled by governments that seem more interested in preventing research than encouraging it. When researchers do gain access and find evidence of advanced technology, machining marks, precision cutting, acoustic engineering, their findings are dismissed by mainstream archaeology without investigation, simply declared impossible, therefore hoaxes, despite physical evidence that anyone can examine. The underwater ruins present perhaps the clearest case of deliberate suppression. When the Gulf of Cambay structures were discovered off India, initial reports generated international interest, then suddenly silence. Funding for further investigation dried up. The lead researchers stopped publishing. Media coverage ceased. The site remains largely unexplored, its secrets still buried beneath the waves. The same pattern repeated with Yonaguni off Japan, with the Cuban structures, with sites discovered in the Mediterranean. Initial excitement, media attention, then suppression, silence, erasure. Even academic publishing plays its role. Journals refuse papers that challenge mainstream timelines. Peer reviewers reject findings based not on methodology or evidence, but on conclusions that contradict established narratives. Conferences exclude presentations on anomalous discoveries. Textbooks ignore entire categories of evidence. The gatekeeping is so effective that most people, even educated people, even people with advanced degrees, have no idea that this evidence exists, that underwater cities have been found, that impossible artifacts have been documented, that the timeline of human civilization is built on a foundation of deliberate ignorance and systematic suppression.
But why? Who benefits from keeping humanity ignorant of its own past? Some researchers point to religious institutions that require humanity to be young, to have begun in Eden, not emerged from multiple previous civilizations. Others suggest political powers that rely on controlling the narrative of progress, the idea that we're ascending from primitiveness to enlightenment, when the evidence suggests we're actually recovering from a catastrophic collapse, struggling to rebuild knowledge that was once commonplace. Still others whisper about secret societies, ancient orders that have preserved the true history, guarding it from the masses, believing that humanity is not ready to know, that the knowledge would cause panic, destabilize society, shatter the foundations of every institution built on the official timeline. Or perhaps the reason is darker still. Perhaps those doing the suppressing know something we don't. Perhaps they know the cycle is returning. Perhaps they know the revealing the truth about the 6 previous civilizations would force humanity to confront the uncomfortable fact that we're not special, not unique, not guaranteed survival. That civilizations rise and fall according to cycles we don't control. That catastrophe is not an ancient myth, but a recurring pattern. And that the 7th civilization, our civilization, is approaching the same threshold that destroyed all the others. Perhaps they believe it's better to keep us ignorant, comfortable, unprepared, than to risk the chaos that might ensue if everyone knew the truth. As you breathe slowly in the darkness now, consider what it means to live in a civilization built on forgetting, on suppression, on the deliberate erasure of our own history. Every textbook is a lie of omission. Every museum is a carefully curated fiction. Every expert explaining how primitive our ancestors were is either ignorant or complicit. The evidence is everywhere, hidden in plain sight, waiting for eyes clear enough to see. And once you see it, once you recognize the pattern, you cannot unsee it. You become part of the awakening, part of the 7th civilization finally remembering what the first 6 tried so desperately to preserve. The question is not whether the evidence exists. The evidence is overwhelming. The question is what you will do with that knowledge now that you can no longer pretend not to see. If the suppression is real, then perhaps the awakening is real as well. Because despite the efforts to erase, to hide, to silence, the truth keeps resurfacing, faster now than ever before. Technology that wasn't available to previous generations has made suppression almost impossible. Satellite imaging reveals structures beneath jungles, deserts, oceans. Ground-penetrating radar detects chambers and tunnels where official histories claim nothing exists. DNA analysis traces genetic lineages in ways that contradict established migration patterns. Independent researchers share findings instantly across global networks, bypassing traditional gatekeepers, reaching millions before suppression can be coordinated. The 7th civilization, unlike the 6 before it, has tools that make total information control impossible. And slowly, undeniably, humanity is beginning to remember. The awakening manifests in unexpected ways. People who have never studied archaeology report feeling drawn to ancient sites, experiencing profound recognition as if their DNA itself remembers these places. Dreams of submerged cities, of catastrophe, of survival appear across populations with increasing frequency, shared not through cultural transmission, but something deeper, something that feels like genetic memory surfacing. Children speak of past lives in drowned worlds. Artists create images of structures they've never seen, then discover those exact structures exist in underwater ruins. Musicians compose pieces that somehow match the resonant frequencies of ancient megalithic chambers. It's as if the collective unconscious is activating, preparing humanity for something, reminding us of what we need to know.
In laboratories, geneticists are finding activation patterns in ancient DNA clusters, previously dormant genes switching on in response to environmental changes that mirror pre-collapse conditions. Magnetic field weakening, climate instability, atmospheric shifts. The same environmental triggers that preceded previous catastrophes are appearing again, and human biology is responding, activating inherited survival capabilities encoded by ancestors who lived through the last reset. This is not metaphor, this is measurable genetic expression, as if our very cells remember the cycle and are preparing us to survive it. Astronomers are detecting anomalies in solar behavior, increases in coronal mass ejections, changes in the sun's magnetic field, patterns that align with the 12,000-year cycle documented in ice cores and geological records. The galactic current sheet crossing some researchers believe triggers these cycles is approaching. The planetary alignments ancient monuments were built to track are returning. The celestial configuration is repeating, and those with eyes to see, those willing to look beyond official narratives, recognize that we are entering the window, the period when catastrophe becomes likely, when the cycle completes, when the seventh civilization faces the same test that destroyed the previous six. But there's something different this time, something unprecedented. For the first time in 72,000 years, for the first time since the cycle began, humanity is globally connected. We have communication that spans the planet instantly. We have technology that can monitor Earth's systems in real time. We have models that can predict cascading failures before they occur. We have the collective knowledge of every previous civilization, decoded from monuments and myths, finally understood, finally integrated. And most importantly, we have awareness. We know the cycle exists. We know catastrophe is not random. We know what to look for, how to prepare, what to preserve. Previous civilizations faced the cycle blind, or nearly so. They recognized patterns, built warning systems, tried to preserve knowledge, but they were limited, isolated, unable to coordinate globally. They survived in pockets, scattered groups rebuilding from fragments, each one carrying pieces of the old knowledge, but never the complete picture. The seventh civilization has the complete picture. We can see the cycle forming across multiple systems simultaneously. We can track magnetic weakening, crustal stress, solar activity, climate instability, all the precursors appearing exactly as predicted. We are approaching the threshold with knowledge no previous civilization possessed, and that gives us a choice they never had. We can prepare, we can coordinate, we can maybe, impossibly, survive, not just as scattered remnants, but as a continuous civilization, carrying forward everything we've built, everything we've learned, preserving it through the transition, instead of starting over from primitive conditions. This is the moment the monuments were built for. This is the warning the myths preserved. This is why the genetic memory is activating now, not to frighten us, not to doom us, but to prepare us, to remind us that we've survived this before, that our ancestors carried us through the last catastrophe, and that we carry within us, in our DNA, in our instincts, in our collective memory, everything we need to survive the next one. As you rest here on the edge of sleep,
feeling your consciousness expand beyond your individual body, connecting to the vast network of human awareness spreading across the planet. Perhaps you can feel it too, the awakening, the remembering, the quiet certainty rising like dawn across the collective mind of the seventh civilization, recognizing finally, undeniably, that we are not the first, that we carry the memory of 6 previous worlds, and that we stand now at the threshold where we must choose whether to repeat their fate or to become something new, something that survives not by accident, but by awareness, by preparation, by finally, after 6 attempts, learning the lesson the cycle has been trying to teach us all along. The cycle can be recognized, the pattern can be understood, and understanding, true understanding, changes everything. Sleep now, knowing that you are part of the greatest awakening in human history, part of the generation that finally remembered, finally saw, finally understood that we are the 7th civilization, and our story is just beginning to be told.